Welcome, everybody, to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast in podcast history. My name is Brian Neal.
My name is Bill Caskey.
Here every week. Glad that you're here every Monday. Loyal listeners, been with us for 17 years, longer than the cicadas. And those of you who are new, some of you are new, you just got here. There's lots of things to check out. One thing is our LinkedIn group. There's about 13,000 people in the LinkedIn group. We post things in there. We like to dialogue in there. There's another group we haven't mentioned for you old school people, which is our email list. Email. We still do email.
What is that?
Email. We still have an email list. We do. AdvancedSellingPodcast.com. It's pretty self-explanatory. Go there to get on the email list. We've been a little quiet with the email list, but that's changing, Bill.
Yeah, we didn't want to overburden you with emails, and so therefore we sent none.
We went over in 2030. How many emails? So talk to me about your marketing campaigns, guys. Well, we decided to go the opposite. We did zero.
Yeah. How big's your list? It's 5,000.
Yeah.
If you don't ask the next question,
there.
Email.
Often you guys email them. Zero.
Now, what Brian, I think, is referring to is we're doing a special event on December 6th for all listeners, but really anybody. It's a personal business planning session for 2024. Anybody who's on the email list will get an invite for that. But if you're not on the email list, in the show notes, there will be a link where you can go seek out some more information on it. There's a page devoted to it. It's a 2-hour kind of a master class that we're running for any sales professional, VP of sales, anybody who wants to really crush it in 2024. It's a personal business planning session. It's got a planning grid that we've come up with that you might be familiar with, although we've added some things to it. So if you're interested in that kind of work to tee off 2024, which is kind of our topic today too, go to that page in the show notes.
Yep. And still, if you get on the email list, you should.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Fire that back up. We'll also send an email out about that. December 6th. Do you have time yet?
12 to 2 Eastern.
12 to 2 Eastern time. Yeah. And you'll leave with your business plan done virtually, right? Done.
Yes.
So to me, it's worth the time. Just to force yourself to sit and do it is worth the investment. That's the way I look at that. Because a lot of people are like, well, I'm in the year and it's really hard and I'm really busy. So
it is a tough time of year to do this, but if you don't do it now, you'll do it the first week of January, and now you're 30 days behind.
Too late.
We don't want that.
Too late. So, Bill, you have a interesting tee up.
Well,
go ahead. I want to hear this.
Yeah, I've got some weird tics and attributes, and
you're the only one. Nobody does.
One of them is my attention to sound quality. Audio quality. And you've made fun of me. You've mocked me for years.
No, I respect it. It's respect.
I'm just teasing. And you say, hey, if you're going to send in a voicemail, make sure it's good quality or Bill will refuse it. All that stuff. And over the years, I've kind of prided myself on being able to distinguish between bad sound and good sound. And I don't even know if I'm good at it or not. I mean, I really don't, because all you can do is hear what you hear. I can't hear what you hear. So.
Truth.
But I was in two things. I was in a meeting last week, and a lady, it was a Zoom call, and a lady was speaking up. She went on for a couple minutes, and she had a really nice voice. She's really smart, but she had a crappy microphone. In fact, I don't even know if she had a microphone. It was across the room if she had one.
Yeah.
And I was struggling to hear her. And I have the Rodecaster. I can pot everything. I mean, there's no reason for me to struggle with all the paraphernalia that we have. And I said, at the end, hey, great point, all good. But I've got a question for the group here. Was anybody else struggling to hear her, or was it just me? Because it may just be me, but anybody else? And they're all like, oh, yeah. I said, look, Dolores or Olivia, whatever her name was, I said, you got to get a better microphone. She goes, really? I said, yes. You just saw everybody say, hey, we're struggling. We could hear you. It wasn't the volume thing. It was, and so there's just that space. So I end with that story. That's a chalk up. That's a success story for Bill.
Love it. Check.
But then we went to my wife and daughter and son-in-law went to hear David Foster.
Oh yeah.
And Catherine McPhee.
Oh yeah.
And David Foster, he'd written and composed and done 30 top songs, and he's an amazing guy. And Catherine is a former American Idol, and she's about 30 years younger than him, and that whole thing.
Yep.
So he comes out on stage And he sits down at the piano. That's what he does. And he started talking, and man, the sound was crystal clear. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. So he was talking and playing the piano in the background. Everything's really cool. Then she comes out 3 or 4 numbers in. She comes out, and I found her microphone to be mushy. It just, the sound was just, I was struggling to hear her again. And again, I'm thinking, maybe it's me, maybe it's the sound. And so after the concert was over, and there was another guy out there too, a guy named Fernando, who was an opera singer. It was really amazing. His microphone was fine. And I'm just feeling like there was something off there. So we were walking to our car afterwards. I said, what do you guys think of the concert? Oh, it was great. I said, great. Anybody have any? Here I go. Did anybody notice that her sound wasn't all that good? And my wife's like, "Oh God, here you go again, complaining about the sound." I said, "No, I'm not complaining about the sound of his or Fernando's. I just felt like,
yeah."
And they're like, "No, everything was fine." No. So then I'm thinking, do I just forget this thing? Do I just need to abort this whole sound thing, let it go, and say, look, Bill, your ears are not what you think they are? Or is it possible that my ears are so finely tuned I can hear that stuff? Or maybe as I've gotten older, I can't pick up sounds. If there's a lot of stuff going on, like music in the background, I can't pick up sounds. I can't distinguish. So what do you think I should do? Just let it go?
I would get it. When's the last time you got an ear test?
I have never had one.
Yeah, I would go get one. We get those for my physical for the NFL.
That's probably a good idea.
I don't know why, because you prefer we not be able to hear the coaches yell at us. But anyway, I would do that. Yeah, just to see. Yeah, but it's a I love the this is like carrot or stick. Maybe the approach is to focus on the good sound. Boy, did you think David Foster's audio was just solid? Just of the 3 of them, I mean, he really stood out to me as great audio. Or someone on one of your calls, like, boy, I actually had this on a call. I did the same thing. This guy had a microphone, and I was like, look at you go with that mic, dude. That is fire right there. And there's like, 15 other people on there. They're like, yeah. And I started talking to him like, what kind is it? Where'd you get it? How much? $99. Jeez.
Yep. Yeah, that's good.
Because I think people like, does it matter? I don't know. It does matter.
I don't know.
Does it matter to them is what I meant to say. Do they care? They may not care.
It matters, because if you're talking to a prospect on a Zoom call and they're having trouble, they're energetically having to spend more energy to listen to you. That's not a good thing. I mean, here we talk about prospect experience, customer experience, and if they can't hear you, but they can see you,
and brand experience, all the above, everything. It all matters. And how many times have you gotten on a call? I have too. Like, you get this, you got some lights and a good mic, hop on a call. They're like, dang. People are like, whoa. Yeah. A sales call. Like, we're selling ourselves. Like, yeah, that's what we do. Kind of fun, got all the fun stuff here.
But you have, we all have things in our life that we look at and 15 people around us say, no, it looks good. And you say, I'm not sure. That didn't feel right. It didn't look right. It didn't sound. That's not a sound thing. It's more just you take a perspective that is different. You're looking at things in a slightly different way.
Yes.
And then you have to ask yourself, well, is that really worth the trouble?
That's trouble thing. Yeah. And am I just hoping that I plan the world around me so that all the audio is good for me, then life is good. That's funny.
And I was at the Eagles concert a couple of weeks ago, and there was 19,000 people. And I don't usually think Gainbridge is a great place. It was impeccable.
Yeah,
the sound was impeccable. And I even stood up and told my whole section, hey,
everybody,
I will.
Okay, everyone from 116, real quick here. Yeah, real quick. I just want everyone to notice. Bravo. I sent a note to Don Henley. Hey, Don, Bill, section 116, Indy.
Is this Bill, the audio guy from Indianapolis?
It's genius. We should eventually talk about a topic, shouldn't we? Let's do it. All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit. Bill's going to do the business planning event for you December 6th, noon to 2 Eastern time. You need to be at that thing. And the reason you need to be at that thing, because that is a good thing to do for the end of the year. We say, how do you end the year good? One of the things you do is prepare for next year. That's one of the ways you end. And there's also the side of it that is, how do I end the year good this year? How do I get stuff closed? And lots of people dispense lots of advice, us included, about how to end good.
Yeah.
What we thought we'd do today is talk about What do we observe people doing that we think is wrong or bad, that they think is good? So what mistakes are people making to end the year that in their heart of hearts, they think this is the best way to end the year, when Bill and I look at it and we go, that's likely the worst thing that's the worst thing you could do right now to end your good. So kind of taking the point counterpoint idea here and going the other side of mistakes we see sales teams make when they're trying to end the year well that typically don't work for them.
Okay.
Fire
well, when you were explaining that as a topic before we started, the first thing I went to, which was the first thing you went to when you prompted me, is the idea of trying to get something across the line in the last 60 days. Just hurrying something up and reducing price or putting extra pressure on the prospect. I think it could take on a lot of different looks, but excuse me, that idea about how can we drag some things across before the end of the year to make our numbers look good, maybe make our income look good, maybe just get things off the street. Yeah. So that's where I was thinking about it, is there a right and wrong way to do that? And are we picking the wrong way to do that?
Yes. I think it all starts with intention here.
Yeah.
I think the biggest mistake I see, and honestly, sales leaders, it comes from you. If you're listening to this, you're a sales leader. And if you're a salesperson, you just hear me say that, you're like, yeah, see, it does come from you. Brian said so. Because it's true. We get this pressure trying to make a number. It's almost always self-serving. It's hard for me to, I want to say it's always self-serving, but that's a strong statement. But it's about us making a number. It has nothing to do with customers or clients at that point. And then once you start with bad intention leads to bad behavior leads to bad language. And away it goes. It's a set of dominoes that just falls in the wrong direction. And so the first thing to get clear on is, what is your intention? And what is so magic about this end of the year thing? Because as soon as it's December 31st, it's January 1st. And then what? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, it's like December 31st is a day that lasts for like 4 weeks. It doesn't. It's 24 hours. Then it's next year. And so you're going to end where you're going to end. I think you, with bad intention, can do damage to customer relationships and customer experience with people, and you train people to do bad things in the future. So I think intention is kind of the cornerstone of this whole thing and getting square. And once we get the other thing, well, I'm getting into some answers.
Well, I totally agree. And the question I would have is there any value for the prospect in doing this now? Let's not just assume there's none. It's only us, because there might be a good reason. Maybe for them, it's having 2024 set and ready to go when the champagne bottles are done, when they're finished. I mean, so maybe you just need to look a little deeper for, what's in it for us is good numbers, but what's in it for the prospect? Maybe there is. Let's assume there is.
See, that's great, because there may very well be, and there may not be. And so now we're in this really good, healthy space of good intention of just examining it. A case in point in our business would be, if somebody wants to launch a new program, a coaching program in January, they need to sign their agreement in December and get the details and the onboarding done so that Bill can start training their people the second week of January. If they wait for that, now the people aren't up to speed with Bill's training until February or March, and it's delayed. The whole intention there is to get better sales results, so we're pushing those off. So that would be a case for it. If there's a situation where I've got a client that sells software to construction companies, and these construction companies north of, the kind of midpoint of the country, because of weather, basically shut down. So when they're selling software through what they call the off season, their software helps these construction companies manage their assets better, so they make more money. It's very direct cash infusion, but they won't see it until March. So there is absolutely no reason for them to close the deal December, because they're not even going to turn the software on until March. So I try to teach those guys, my clients, they're like, hey, let it roll, So intention to start.
Yeah, I think also you just brought up the idea of, sometimes we want to start the year next year off quickly. So does everybody. I mean, who wants to be languishing over something that should have been closed or should have been done in December here in January? It's like, oh, now I got to think about it all the holidays. So that might be one of the parts of value that you can bring to your prospect is, look, here's what I'm thinking. And you wouldn't say, oh, you got to do this. If you do it, there's a 2% discount. I don't like that. I would rather just talk straight with them and say,
Right.
you know, a lot of times I will come to people and say, look, I'd love to have you do it by the end of December or sign or whatever. But here's another thing that you might think about. And you just might think about this. And that is quick start, 2024 quick start. And if we do this now, if we don't do it now, that's fine. If we do it now, here's what the advantages are for you to get started quickly so that by the time February rolls around, we're done, we're installed, or we're implemented or whatever.
Bravo.
And if you just speak to people like that with the intention of helping, not with the intention of trying to get them to do something they don't want to do, there'll be a percentage of people who say, you know what, that's a good idea.
They will. Yes. And that's all you're doing to me is you're sorting the end of the year, the right deals that should close for customer reasons and the deals that it's okay to push off. Because the second benefit to this is another mistake I think people make when they're ending the year, trying to end strong, is they do absolutely nothing to tend to starting 2024. And 2024 has started. In a year sale, if you just do common sense math here, that you're listening to this in November, and then you got a 2-week break at Christmas, at least, your prospect, if you have a 30 or 45-day sales cycle, you're prospecting for January deals already.
That's right.
But people don't put any attention to that. They just end the year, close the year. Then they get to January and wonder why they start slow.
Yeah.
Well, you start slow because you didn't do anything in November and December to start January well. And that's another mistake people make. They have no eyes to 2024 or the next year when they get in the Q4.
Totally agree. I think part of that is just that's the whole idea of double vision. It's having a vision for the next 30, 45 days and also having a vision for next year. You can do both. You're not trying to pack 17 things in there, but you might just make a list of what are my year-end 2023 goals or tasks, to-dos, and then what are my 2024? One, of course, is coming to the personal business planning session on December 6th, of course.
As
but
it should be.
Start to pay attention to next year because you don't want to get down to 23rd of December and everybody's leaving the office. You're like, well, I haven't done my 2024 plan yet. And I'm not talking about just pulling a number out of the air forecast. I'm talking about an actual comprehensive executable plan.
Yes.
I don't want you to be on Christmas Eve doing your plan.
No.
And nor do I want you to do it between Christmas and New Year's because I know people don't do much that time. So do it early. Start to think about 2023 and 2024.
Yes,
the next 45 days.
That's a big mistake. I want to hit this one too, just because you brought it up as part of your talking, but I want to pull it out as its own thing. End of year discounting for the sake of discounting. And what's happened, we've watched this with a extremely large, well-known publicly traded company that is a behemoth in the CRM business.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've done, this has been a strategy of theirs for a long time, is they discount like crazy when they get to the end of months, quarters, and years.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happened is they have trained their buyers to all wait, all of them. So we are a client of theirs, and a vast majority of our clients are clients of theirs, and we all talk amongst each other and say, what are you doing with them this year? I'm just going to wait because we know they're going to discount. They just hammer their discounts at the end. And it's money that doesn't have to be discounted, but they've trained us to buy that way. Mm-hmm. So ask yourself, if you're in a company that uses end of year discounting to make a number, what you're doing to the long-term relationship there and just the long-term value that you bring to that customer, that says, hey, I can always expect a discount from Bill.
Yeah, that's right.
He always gives me a Q4 discount. So I'm just going to sit and wait no matter what. Bad mistake.
There's so many things you can do to incentivize action other than lowering the price.
Yes.
There's all sorts of things you can throw into your offer or extend payment. There's just a lot of stuff. I just don't like discounting because I totally agree with you. I think it sets up a bad precedent, and there are other things that could even be more valuable. Like if you offer a mini course on something or an orientation program, and for the month of December, if you buy, the orientation program is reduced by, it doesn't cost you anything to do that really. And so just think about other alternatives to discounting.
That's fantastic. I was wondering, what is the opposite of discounting? I don't know what the
price goes up January 1st.
The opposite of discounting. I don't know.
Price goes up on Monday.
Yeah, the pending event close. I mean, that's
Pending
a good
event.
one. Let's do that one. Pending event.
I haven't brought that out for a while.
But I love. I got to name this something because it's what it is. So discount is like, hey, I'll take something down for you. It said versus a give. I have it. I know next week I have a final meeting with a group that then turns into a go no go on November 16th. I know this, like the date, and the program is starting in January. If we get the go no goes on November 16th, I'm going to do a freebie in December for them. The meter doesn't start yet to get them long. Exactly what you're saying, Bill.
Good.
So I'm not discounting. Right. I am giving something, but it's a give. It's not
That's right. That's right.
Price down. And it feels good too. I
like that. That's right. Because everybody wins in that scenario.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
And we love it. It helps us to start well, before we get going with the client. So.
Yep. Okay, if you're not a member of the LinkedIn group, make sure you go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/LinkedIn to join. There's 13,000 some amazing people there. And also in the show notes is the web page for our 2024 personal business planning session on December 6th as part of our insider group. And I hope you can join us then. Brian, always good. Always good.
Great to be here, Bill. Thanks for being with me today.
What'd you say? I'm having trouble hearing you. Could you move a little closer to the microphone?
Gosh, I wish I had.
Change out that microphone.
Is that okay? Are we good? Am I clipping out? Are you clipping out a little bit at the top?
Yes,
Am I clipping out?
Yeah, that's good. All right. See you next time.
Bye.